All right, guys, we're going to talk about calculating the maturity date on a note. And the toughest part about this is counting days. So on the working together, it looks like we signed a note for 90 days and we signed the note for 180 days. So the first one we'll go through is the 90-day note. The date that you took the note out, that's important. In the working together, it was May 14th. All right, May 14th is the beginning. So from May 14th, we have to calculate 90 days. This is the way that I do it. Whatever month we take the note out, we figure out how many days are in that month. In May, there are 31 days. So how many days in May have we had the note? We're going to do 31 minus 14. Okay, so 17 days in May we've had the note. We have to get to 90. We're not there yet. I know that I'm going to have all of June because June is 30 days. And 17 plus 30 is 47. I also know that we're going to have all of July. 31 plus 47 is 78. Now we're getting a little bit closer to that magic number of 90. If I put all of August in, I'm going to go over 90. So I need to figure out how many days in August will get me to 90. And in this case, it's going to be 12. 12 days in August gets me 90 days total. So when I get to August 12th, that's the day I'm going to have to pay back the note. Okay, so let's look into Applia and figure out where these numbers go. Okay, here in Applia you can see the directions for work together 9.1. We're going to do the May 14th transaction first. So on May 14th we signed a 90-day 12% note for $5,000, receipt 145. So what we'll do in our cash receipts journal, we're going to lay out our date, and we're going to have something called a note payable. All right, this is a receipt 145. So notes payable is a liability. So when we establish a note payable, we're going to have a credit. And being that we have borrowed $5,000, what we're going to have is a $5,000 credit to notes payable and a cash debit of $5,000, meaning we've increased our cash $5,000 under the assumption that in 90 days we are going to pay it back with 12% interest. So what Applia does is they give you some notes down here to complete. So we saw this earlier. The amount of time that we calculated to get to August 12th is 17 days in May. We have 30 days in June, 31 days in July, and yet we have to figure out what gets us to 90. And Applia puts it in there for you, August 12th. Adding up all of these numbers, we're going to get 90 days. Well, that's the amount of time that our note was. So when we get down to the payment of cash for the maturity value, we know we're going to pay it back on August 12th. Just have to figure out how much the interest is for. And that's what we do down here, interest due at maturity. So on the note signed on May 14th, what we do is we take the principal amount of the note, multiply it by the interest rate, multiply that by the amount of time that we have the loan out or the note out, and that gives us our interest. So for this particular example, the principal is $5,000. That's how much money we borrowed. Our interest rate is 12%. So what Applia wants you to do is write 12 because they turned it into a percent. And where it says time as a fraction, the fraction is going to be based on the days in a year, and there are 360 business days in a year. Okay, 90 of those are taken up by our 90-day note. Okay, so we have 90 over 360. So if I take my calculator and do 5,000, multiply it by 0.12, that's 12%. I'm going to multiply it by 90 divided by 360. The interest due at maturity is going to be $150. I'm going to plug that in right there. So Applia gives you a spot for notes. This will be important when we go to pay cash for the maturity value of the note. Okay, so let's do that up here. I'm going to pay back the note on August 12th because that's the day that the note comes due. In order to pay it off, I'm going to have an account title notes payable, and I'm going to debit notes payable $5,000. This erases the previous transaction. We credited it here, we're going to debit here. Okay. We're also going to have something called interest expense, and that is where this number comes in. We're not going to pay back $5,000. We're going to pay back $5,000 plus interest. So to calculate the cash credit, we'll add these together. $5,150. And the directions say we've written check number 345. So that's how you take the maturity date into your interest due. This date will go here, and you'll add your interest for your cash credit.